Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Femininity Revolution podcast. This is the second episode, so if you haven't caught the first one, go back to that where I dive deeper into the purpose of this podcast, which essentially, to boil it down, is just to have informal conversations, to tackle some of your questions. You left me many questions on Instagram about a month ago, and I have organized those into categories, but also to have a kind of like feel of us sitting down and having a cup of coffee and talking about these topics that don't necessarily fit into a formal tips style video that many of you are used to me putting out on my channel since I started making videos in like 2019. This episode is going to be short, but I wanted to dive into why I stopped talking about homemaking because I noticed when I was asking for feedback on what you all wanted to hear about on these episodes, many of you requested homemaking tips. And although I have certain tangible things that I will discuss in my 2 under 2 review on how you can like streamline your routine with 2 young children, I will admit that I have felt sort of uneasy when it comes to making homemaking content because I'm not making my own sourdough starter. I am not baking things from scratch like I used to include in my videos. I am not totally deep cleaning my house every single day like many of the OGs have seen in my first vlogs ever on this channel. Those are things that I just don't have the time to do now. And this doesn't mean that with 2 little kids or however many kids you have or how busy your lifestyle is that you can't do these things. But in terms of my toddler in particular, who really likes to be outside most of the day and likes to have a packed schedule, my natural homebody self has had to leave the house almost every single day, and it is just not as practical nowadays to pour into my homemaking like I used to do. And this is another reason why I haven't really been making vlogs because I talk a lot about femininity and homemaking, and I didn't really want to seem like a hypocrite. Now, I will say there's no chaos over here. I have systems put in place. I'm actually doing my laundry system right now while my kids are asleep. I have meal rotation, all that kind of stuff that I do when it comes to the practicality of housekeeping. But we aren't doing the fancy throw pillows and the fresh flowers like I included in my old vlogs right now. And so, all that being said, I am sort of ready to talk about homemaking again because here's the kicker and here's the pivotal point of why I wanted to bring this topic up for discussion on this podcast is because I had to watch one of my old videos where I talk about femininity in relation to homemaking, where I encouraged all of you to focus on the fact that the expression of femininity can play into creativity in many domains. This isn't necessarily just focused on the housekeeping tasks. This can be in the way in which you interact with your husband, in your children, in your hobbies. The feminine woman is multifaceted and she's going to have different seasons where she's going to be able to pour different type of attention into her homemaking. I noticed that many of the critics online like to put those of us who consider ourselves traditional women into this stereotypical trad wife type of box where we are wearing prairie dresses. And again, with the sourdough thing, I don't know why the internet has just associated trad wives with sourdough, but I have decided to continue to keep the label of the traditional wife, even though I'm not necessarily doing all those things nowadays, because I believe that the core principle of being a feminine woman who considers themselves a traditional woman who values homemaking, as somebody who understands that the importance of femininity and homemaking is pouring into creativity in the way that suits your lifestyle. Your child might be a total homebody and you can do all those things. Your husband might truly value a home cooked meal, Or yours might be more like mine, who is just totally okay with simple meals, and you have a toddler that is looking for creativity in terms of their outdoor activity. The purpose of being a traditional woman is to look at the priorities of women at the past and look to conserve that rather than look at the aesthetics of, like, again, the sourdough thing, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. The aesthetics of what a traditional woman is supposed to look like. Because that can mean different things for different women. And the importance is that they're pouring creativity into their families, into their homes in different ways. So, I'm very excited to share with you my new lifestyle and have you keep in mind all the things that I said on this podcast episode, my attitude towards homemaking, how I still view it as a pillar of my creativity, but just in a different way, in more of a practical, hands on type of way. And I've chosen to express my creativity in different aspects of my life, but still understanding that my family is of utmost importance, that I am showing up every single day in my femininity for them, tailored to what they need. And this is also an encouragement for many of you who have sent me messages and you're not exactly sure where to start when it comes to embodying this lifestyle, or you're afraid to take the leap in terms of being a full time mother or a full time housewife because you don't quite necessarily have the same style of what you have seen online. This episode truly is for all of you, to let you know that you do belong in this type of movement that we are doing online, and that the most important thing is to focus on your values. So, I can't remember if I mentioned it at the beginning of this episode, but I just wanted to rant a little bit about why I haven't been making homemaking specific content on my channel lately and my thoughts towards it, because I do want to make new homemaking type of content, but it's going to look a little bit different because of the season of life that I am in now. And I had to regain that confidence, kind of find my footing and my place in this traditional sphere in order to bring you the best type of content that I could, being authentic to myself and painting a bigger picture of where I am today when it comes to homemaking. Leave your comments down below if you have felt similar sentiments to mine, or if you have an extra word to add to the conversation to give some encouragement to other women who might feel the same way. And like this content if you enjoy it, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.